Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? All right. Victoria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Hello. Victoria. Good afternoon. Hello, can you hear me? All right. Victoria, can you hear me? Okay. So we are all welcome to this training section on Excel training for accountants. And I want to thank everyone for joining this training. For those of us watching from YouTube, from Zoom, say thank you all for joining. And we have a tutor for us this evening. She's here to take us on this Excel training. And but before we start, I would just like to do a brief introduction of myself and also Victoria and also the Institute. My name is, for those of you that know me, my name is Otono Moni. I'm the managing partner of Elite Accounting Professional Service. And I have my co-colleague with me here also in this training. And we have set up this training for professionals who are eager to improve their Excel skills for daily operations and also for proficiency and effectiveness of their work at their various places of work. So we've gotten quite a lot of feedbacks from professionals, questions. Oh, is it possible for you to take us this training, Excel? I'm finding it difficult to use certain skills in Excel to make my work easy, to do a lot of things because Excel is very, very wide. And most of every organization where you work, you discover that what is predominant in that space is the use of Excel to carry out daily tasks and daily routine. And then if you are not very vast or good with Excel, you might find it difficult to quickly wrap up your work. You just discover that it takes you a longer time before you get some jobs done. And, so the proficiency in Excel skills is one of the things that can improve our productivity at our various places of work. And so we have just decided to make this training open to everyone so that we can use it as an avenue to learn, to unlearn, and also to build up our proficiency at our various places of work. So we have our expert in the house this evening. Her name is Victoria Ugu. She's an expert when it comes to financial analyst, data analyst, and she has decided to make herself available for this training this evening. And I want to encourage every one of us from wherever you are watching from, either from YouTube, either from Zoom, wherever you are watching from, to these few minutes that we are going to use to learn. I want you to take it very serious and maximize all what you can maximize. All right, so I will just hand over the floor to Victoria so that we can get the class rolling. Victoria, can you hear me loud and clear, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, over to you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. Paul is a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for a very long time. And thank you for this awesome privilege. I think the last time I did a training like this was on Microsoft PowerPoint, and it's been pretty long, but thank God for that I'm able to have this opportunity to impact professionals. Yes. So but this one particular one will be talking about Microsoft Excel. Okay, I want to share my screen. Okay. Um, you can just. I believe everyone can see my screen now. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So before I dive down into what we'll be doing today, I just want to give a little bit of background of what Microsoft Excel is. So Microsoft Excel is actually a software that was developed by the Microsoft and is part of the Microsoft Office 365. And there are various um, tools under this Microsoft Office 365. We have the Teams, we have PowerPoint, we have the Outlook, and some other things like that. So basically, it's actually an incredible, powerful tool, you know, that is being used and is used to capture data, analyze data, and even do visualization. So, but what we'll be driving down today will just be some few things due to the time constraints, and some of the things I'll just highlight it. We'll be talking about tables, how to use table very well. We're talking about, there are various things you can do with a table. Also, we're talking about sorting a data filtering, conditional formatting, how to do text in even in a Microsoft Excel. We'll be also looking at data validation if time permits us, and pivot tables, and if we still have the time, because as much as I want to impact knowledge, I also want you to, by the end of this training, you should be able to have grasped something important from this training. Yes, so I believe my screen is clear enough, is bold enough for you all to see. So, having said this, I will just go straight down to the first thing we have here, which is table versus range. This is an Excel, um, platform here, and we have so many things. We have the home tab, we have the insert, we have the page layout. All these icons here are useful things, useful tools for different purposes. We have the data tab, we have the review, we have the view, and so many other things. Each of them has a unique function, in analyzing your data, in formatting it, and in presenting your information for use. Either you want to use it in your workplace. So there are different things. They are ranging of so many functions, so many I would say positions of people that you can use Excel. An admin can use the Excel. Even a social media person can also use Excel. A marketer needs Excel. Not just only just the accountants, the HR department, people in the HR, they need Excel. All these things are useful, and that's why you need to know, have the knowledge of Excel in the workplace. So the first thing we'll be looking at is table versus range. Table versus range. So when you talk about range is actually a group of selected cells. I want to have my, in case, just give me one moment. I want to also log in so that I am sure that, um, okay. All right. So we have a range. A range is actually a group of selected cells, and which can have a defined, that have a defined reference. So, for example, this is a cell, and this particular cell has a name, and the name of this cell is A3. You can see it from this angle here, A3. So now, by the time I select a quite a number of cells like this, it becomes a range. So this is, if I select from here to this point, it is a range. It is a range. Now, let me increase it. If I select a selected number of cells, it becomes a range. But if, so this particular range, there are so many things I can do with it. There are so many things I can do. We have an information that's been presented to us, and I can draft out information. I can draft out, I can process information from this particular data that has been given out to us. For example, we only have amounts here. What if I add something else to it? I can add a column here. I can add a column here and name it cost, shipping cost, right? And I give it an amount, let's say 600. So now that I have this shipping cost now, and for this particular supplier name, right? This particular payment number for this particular invoice, I want to get the plus. I have two methods by which I can go about it. The first one is I can click on any cell on that particular range. I can click on any cell on that particular range and type Control T. Type Control T. So once I type Control T, a dialog box will come up, and that dialog box will ask me that, where is your data for your table? It has already automatically selected the data range for me. All right. So I was talking about creating a table. And I said that there are two methods by which you can use to create a table. The first method is I'll click on any cell on this my data and I'll type in Control T. Once I type in Control T, a dialog box will come in that is showing create table. It will ask me, where is the data for your table, as a question mark, and its Excel has automatically captured the data range that I need, even down to column L. And once I know that it has captured it fully, then it also asks me, does my table has headers? For this particular one, my table has headers, and I will just go straight to click OK. Once I go straight to click OK, automatically my data changes. Changes. And not only that, I also notice that on this particular table tools area, there's something that has popped up also, which is called design. And this is in relation to the table that we just created, a table design. A table design. With this particular table design, I can do a lot of stuffs as shown here, right? So let me go back to show you the other method to use for creating your table. I'm just going to do undo, Control Z. That's the shortcut for undo. So it has taken me back to where we started. Now, if I want to go to another method, not using the shortcut, I will just go to insert. Once go to insert, I will see a place after pivot table and recommended pivot tables. I will see table and I click on it. From there, it has even shown me that I don't need to stress myself. I just need to click on Control T and it will organize my table for me. But if I don't want to go through using shortcuts, I will just click on the table and it will do the exact same thing than of me using shortcuts, and I click my OK. Now we have created our table. It has automatically popped up that design again, right? There are so many things I can do with the design button here. We can see here that they said header row, meaning that this is your row. If I want to remove the header row, I can do that, but I don't want to do that. So I have my banded rows. Banded rows. If I unclick it, you see that there's a little tweak on the formatting. But I think I like it, so I put in my banded rows again. If I want my first column to be bold, I can do that. Last column also. This is my last column. I can do that also. Banded columns. You can see the banded columns. There is a difference in my color, right? If I want to remove this filter button, I can do that. But let me just have it. So we can also change. Let me remove the banded row columns. We can also change the color of the table to the style we want. We just have to click on here. If you want this, if you want this, just anything that really suits you at that particular time. So if you want also this, but I think let me go for this. So if I go for this and Maybe, for example, I want to convert back to range. If you want to convert back to range, you can also do that here. But let me first remove the filter button. There's a icon here, convert to range. It will take you back to a normal, to the way it was before we had it as a table. So it will, something will pop up when I press that. Do you want to convert the table to a normal range? And I click on yes. It will take me back to the normal range, but I will still have the formatting I have chosen. I will still have the formatting that I have chosen. So there are just different things one can do with a table, and some of the differences of having a table versus a range. Let me convert it back to table. Some of the differences that you have to a table versus a range. If you want to scroll or you want to do something at the down, you, you still know that, oh, you have your headers are showing. So you know that, oh, for this particular thing, oh, this is what I want to do. Secondly, another thing is I can add to my column, I can add to my row, to my data, and it still maintains, the table captures it. It still maintains the formatting of the table. This cannot happen if it is a range. So this cannot happen if it is a range. Another thing again is you automatically have be very, very, very useful. Another thing is, another benefit of having a table is there is an automatic row, total row that has been added. So, for example, if I want to sum up the total amount, another benefit for having a table is you have the total row option that has been presented to you. Now, if I click on this total row option, the total at the end of the table pops up. So with this, I can do a lot of things. So if I want to get the total amount for this particular data set, I will just come here. There is a drop down, a filter drop down that is showing. With that, I can do a lot. I can sum. This is the total amount showing. Not only that, I can do an average. This is the average amount. And some other wonderful stuffs. The maximum. I can also do the minimum amount on this particular data. Now, if I want to do counts, I want to count the numbers, right? This is it, 84. So on this particular data set, there are 84 supplier details here. That's what it's saying. Another benefit of having a table is you can quickly alight. So how do I let me change my I want you to see what I want to do. I wanted to change. Okay, but it's not showing. Okay, but see what I want to do. I want to show you that you can quickly alight something. For example, I want to pick the items in column I. I want to pick the items in column I. There will be an automatic short arrow, black arrow. With that, I can be able to pick this column I. If I double click on that particular arrow again, it will capture the header, which is shipping cost also. So that way I can be able to do something. If I now want to move, I can move. I can move using this four arrows that is black. I will just pick the particular column and begin to move it to where I want it to move to. So I have moved it here. And also the same thing applies to if you want to do to a row too. You can also do that. So having said all of this, lastly, what I want to talk about for a table is I can insert a slicer. And how do I get a slicer? On this design, there is a point that you will see here, insert slicer. Once I click on it, something pops up. So they are asking me now, based on my header, because my data has headers and each of them have a name. So it has been able to capture those names and they are now asking me what particular slicer do I want to, you know, use. So for example, I want to pick location, not only just location, but invoice month, and probably also the brand. I've picked these three items and I'll click OK. I do hope that, okay, I wanted to. So I've been able to bring out the slicer here. So I can reduce the size. It's quite very big. Let me just reduce the size. Let me resize this one also. So let me just have them here. So with this now, I can streamline my data to what is on the slicer. For example, I want to streamline my data to just see only Sydney for this particular data. So it has been able to filter everything, and it's only Sydney that is showing. You can see it. If I want to do for Melbourne too, you can also see it, right? Another thing again is for this brand, I want to just streamline it to only grand malt based on the particular first slicer location I picked. Only ground malt on this Melbourne location. It has been able to streamline everything for me, filter it. If I want to pick grand malt and trophy together, I will just click on multi select here and also click on trophy. It has captured both trophy and grand malt for this particular location. I can now also go again if I want to now pick for only just for February. It has now been able to just select for the month of February. If I want to add March, I must first click this multi select. If I just click on only March, it has shifted away from February and moved to March. But if I want to also include February, I have to click this multi select and click on February. Then it has picked both March and February. Do we understand? Okay, so this is just how to use slicers for tables. If I want to cancel this, it's very simple. I will just clear the filter. Make sure you clear the filter before you, if you want to delete any slicer, and you can just go ahead and delete it. Also, you can also just resize your slicer, because there's an option button that popped up here. There are so many things you can do with your slicer. You can change the style. Forgot to add that. You can change the style, the color, right? You can also do change the height, the width, just to what suits you and what will make the um present your presentation, to present it in a better way or better format. So if I want to um delete this, I make sure that I cancel the filter and I go ahead and delete. I've deleted this. Now I want to delete for brown. I make sure I clear the filter and I go ahead and delete it. Also the same thing, I'll clear the filter and I go ahead to delete it. Now, one last thing before I move on to the next thing, I forgot to mention that a table helps you to automatically add, you can add a row or a column. So if I want to just add maybe an item, maybe another supplier came on board. Let me remove this total. I'll remove it. I want to add another item. So 24903 See, automatically it captures the same format as with the others. So that's one of the benefits of using a table. So with this, I will just quickly move on to the next thing. Lastly, let me just convert this back to a range. Convert to a range. Do you want to convert the table to a normal range? And I click on yes. So I've done that. I move on to the next thing. We want to do some sorting. So sorting is actually the process of arranging data in a particular order. You can sort with ascending and descending order. You can sort with from smallest to largest. You can also multi-sort, multi-level sorting in Excel, also alphabetically and in a numeric order. So for this sorting, we actually have a question here that would guide us on this particular data. This would help us to understand, this particular thing I'm saying. So the first thing I would say, let's just convert our data to a table. And that's very simple. I will just type Control T, click on OK, then I have my data on a table. So the first thing question we have here is the board asks you to show the supplier name with the highest order amount. The board asks you to show the supplier name with the highest order amount. So on this particular data, we have the supplier name, the brand, the payment number, we have the bank details, we have PO number, we have location, we have the amount, and we have the invoice month. So what they're asking you is you should show the supplier name with the highest order amount. So what is that saying? We already have we have our data has been converted to a table. So we have automatic filter button at the top. This helps us to sort. So we go to the amounts that we are referring to. We click on the drop down here. We can see a pop-up comes up. They are telling you sort from smallest to largest, sort largest to smallest, sort by color, and the likes. So what they are asking you in the question here is the highest order amount. So this is the amount, the highest. That's from we can sort now from the largest to the smallest. Immediately, there is an arrangement by Excel. So that way, what is the supplier name with the highest order amount? This is the highest order, $1,096.92, and the supplier name is Andrews. So I will just type Andrews here as my answer. The next question we have is the highest amount purchased from a location. The highest amount purchased from a location. So for this particular one, it's still the amount we are still going to use, okay? But we are going to be looking at now at the location, not the supplier's name anymore. Not the supplier's name anymore. And the location with the highest amount is Sydney. And also let me reiterate this. Once you have um once you have sorted a particular thing, there is something that indicates you here that you have sorted it. Something like, let me zoom in so you see. Something like an arrow down showing that this particular column has been filtered or sorted. So the highest amount from the location is Sydney. So I will just go straight and type my answer. The last question here is the brand that had the lowest amount. The brand that had the lowest amount, which is quite easy. I go back to my amounts. Initially, I sorted from largest to smallest. I can reverse it. I want to tell Excel now to sort smallest to largest. So there is an alteration to what the um the the data that has been given now. So what he's saying here now is the brand with the lowest amount. What is that brand that is carrying negative 600? And it is Trophy. So I just type in Trophy. The next question here is sort the supplier name alphabetically, then show the amount in ascending order. Then what is the lowest amount for Gil? Sort the supplier name alphabetically, then show the amounts in ascending order. That's more like two things that we have been told to do. And one of the things that I said about Excel sorting is there is an option for multi-level. You can sort twice. So with this now, I have already sorted the amounts in from lowest to from smallest to largest. So they are telling me I should sort it in ascending order, which is from top to bottom. So that is from largest to smallest. But I also have to sort I can go to my data. Something has popped up already. They are now saying that, okay, what do I want to sort? No, I didn't want it to capture this column. Let me, okay. So I clicked on the table and so I want to sort this particular from the question we have. So I click on sort. The sort here now, as it has shown, it has given me that, oh, I have sorted by amount and I sorted from largest to smallest. Now I also want to sort some other thing. What do? I will just add level. So I want to now sort by supplier name. So I sort by supplier name, and I want it to be from alphabetical order, from A to Z, and I click OK. So what he has done now for me is it has sorted based on this amount that I arranged. It has sorted the supplier's name for me alphabetically. based on the amount, because the amount was saying from largest to smallest, from largest to smallest. So we can see here now, for example, Jones, right? It captured Jones from the largest amount Jones had. So if I want to also add by location, I can also do that. I will just add a level and I will add by location. And I will add by location. So I just click on location and also for alphabetically, and it will do that for me also. Do we see that? If I want to move, so I just click on location and also alphabetically, and it will do that for me also. I can go ahead. Do we see that? For me. So the last question we have here, So we have the last question here. What month had the lowest amount purchased? What month had the lowest amount purchased? And that just speaks to with having um the amount, the least amount, and what particular month we can um that was speaking to that. So very easy for me. I will just sort from smallest to largest. And what particular month had the least amount? The month of March. So I have, and I just put in my answer, the month of March. Quickly, as we are running out of time, I'll move to the next thing, which is filtering. I'll move to the next thing, which is filtering. And filtering is the process of selecting only a part of the data based on the condition, the whole data set, based on the condition of the whole data set. And also to know that it would, your data that has been selected would only be the one that is being displayed. It is your data that has been selected that or filtered that is the only one that will be displayed. So moving on, I convert this my range again to a table. How do I quickly do that? Very simple. I press on Ctrl T, convert it to a table, and I have my wonderful table that has been set up. So also for this one, we have some questions to answer just to further explain what I'm talking about. So for this particular one, I also now have quantity, the quantity that was that the supplier supplied to us. And the next thing now, the first question here is, what is the average quantity purchased in Sydney? What's the average quantity that was purchased in Sydney? So they are asking about the quantity, and they are also asking about the location. So the first thing I'll say I'll do is I'll filter only Sydney because we want to see only Sydney and we want to see the average. So I'll filter by the location, which is Sydney. So for me to do that, I'll click on this drop icon here. Then something pops up here because we are dealing with filtering. Is asking me there. We only just have two locations, which is Melbourne and Sydney. So I just need only the data of Sydney. So I unselect and I pick Sydney and I click on OK. Then it has just been able to capture only Sydney for me. Having done that, I'm looking for the average quantity of Sydney. The average quantity of Sydney. I can click here, right? Then I see number filters. I can also play around this particular thing that is here. I can play around it, right? But is that really what I'm looking for? I'm looking for the average quantity. So that can also mean that for this particular table, I can get the total row at the end. And for this quantity, because it is Sydney, which is the location, I need the average. I'll just click on the average, and I will get the average of Sydney, the quantity that was for Sydney location. If I want to unselect, so you see that the difference between sorting and filtering is filtering just whatever you have filtered, that is only what will be displaying on your screen. But for sorting, it still retains all your data. It still retains all your data. But for filtering, it is only the things that you have filtered, that is only what will be displaying. If I want to streamline the supplier name or the brand to based on the Sydney location, I just only want to see coffee, right? I will select all and I click on coffee. I press OK, then only coffee is being displayed. The rest are now hidden. You can see here there's some things here. They are hiding all these particular rows. That's the goal of filter. That's the goal of filter. And when you filter, you will now see this particular button is now showing like a filter um option or a filter shape, indicating that this particular column has been filtered. If you want to remove the filter, you can clear filter from brand. You can clear filter from brand. And once I do that, it goes automatically to the normal thing that we wanted to do. So for the first question, the average quantity purchased in Sydney, I think we got 523.4. 523.4. So let me unfilter this again. I'll clear filter from location and I have all my data back to normal. The next thing is total purchased generated from the parent. The parent is also a supplier name. So what are the total purchased generated from parent? I'll just go to my supplier name. I can unselect all, type in parent, and click OK. So what is the total number? Based on this, I can just count. It can't count this because of I said count numbers. But once I just click on count, it has captured that we only have 9 goods that we purchased from parents. Because of my questions where it has hidden everything, so I think I know what to do. Let me clear this. Let me I just want to move my questions here to avoid. let me just move. I just want to move my questions here so that um, we can just flow along. Okay, let me delete this. All right. Yes. So I don't get distracted. So we purchased 9 items from parents. Now, what's the average amount of the trophy brand? So we have a brand here. We want to streamline it down only to trophy. So I unselect all and I click on trophy. I press OK. I have only trophy selected. So having done that, they're asking what's the average amount of trophy. So I go to the average column and I click on average. I have my answer 523.16. 523.16. Total amount purchased from Jones and Jardine. Total amount purchased from Jones and Jardine. Very simple. Those are my supplier names for Jones and Jardine. So, like again, I would unselect everything. Please make sure you do that so it will not select the things that you don't want to do. So I have Jones here. I have Jardine also. Click on OK and I have what I'm looking for. So they're asking for the total amount. So which is I can just sum it. It was in average before, but I need a sum. The sum now is $4,750.35. The last one is to count of the others quantity received from for coffee. So the coffee is also a brand name. I would let me clear the filter. Once I clear the filter, I go back to the brand, I unselect this. I now click on only filter, only coffee, and I want to count the others. So this is the order. Oh, let me unselect for so for the quantity now, I need to count it. I go ahead to count it. We have 28 items. Very simple. So I've been able to explain the difference between sorting and filtering. The difference between sorting and filtering. With this, I'll quickly move on to conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. Same thing also as I have done the filtering and the sorting, right? Let me convert my range into into a table. And to simply do that, I'll have to create a table with Control T. I'll press any cell in the range that have been given onto me and I type in Control T. Then I click on OK. My data set has been formed. So having done this, the first question here is So what does conditional formatting does? It's actually a tool that helps to apply formatting to your data depending on the conditional rules that has been laid out. So it actually helps to, you know, visualize your data by checking for specific information. It is also a great way to highlight top values in your data. I'm going to explain that in a moment. So, having converted my range to a data to a table, having converted my range to a table, I go to my home tab, right? There is a place on after general, you see conditional formatting. There are so many things that are available to us here. We have the highlight cell rules, we have the top bottom rule, we have the data bar, we have the color scale, we have the icon, and some other few things. So on the highlight cell rules, you see here the options to do greater than, less than, between, equals to, so many things. The top bottom rules, we have top 10 items, top 10 percentage, bottom 10 items, bottom 10 percentage, above average, and below average. For the data bar, it is just giving your data that has been selected color fill. So we have gradient fill and we have solid fill. Also for the color scales, just giving your cell a particular form of coloring and the like. So the first question we have here is, we have supplier name with top 5 amounts. Supplier name with top 5 amounts. I will just go ahead to highlight my amount. So I can do that because my table, I have a table already. For me to easily highlight this amount, I will just make sure that I get this particular black arrow. Let me increase the zoom. Let me zoom my, so you see what I'm talking about. This particular black arrow, and I will just click it, right? I'll go to my conditional formatting. So what I want to do is top 5 amounts. So the top 10 items up here. A dialog box has popped up. It's telling me that do I want to reduce the amount, the top 10 items, but I want only 5. I need only 5. So I can reduce the amount from 10 to 5 and I click on OK. So once I've done this, if I scroll down, you will see that some items has been colored. This particular conditional formatting does not arrange it in ascending or descending order like sorting or filtering. So your data still remains the same. It only just captures some of the things, the top 5 items. It has highlighted it in. Zoom out now. Five items has been highlighted in red. What if I want to change it again, right? And change it to, let's say, um 20 or 30, because we have a lot of data here. You can see they are just about 30 items has been highlighted. The top 30 items has been highlighted. So because of we need a supplier name, and you know that having done this, it has not sorted anything out. So our supplier is still arranged the way it is. So we can also sort the supplier name with either sort of field. Yes, we can sort it so that it will capture the supplier name that is the highest for us. So now that I've done this, I will now sort by color because there are now two colors here now. I go ahead to sort by color, not just only sorting by color, but from the largest to the smallest. There is now a change in what has taken place. So the supplier name with the highest amount, with the top 5 highest amount, is Andrews. So I just have my let me go back. I want to sort this amount greater than average. I can get here from highlight cells greater than average. So it has captured this whole amount, and the amount greater than average should be in what color? Maybe I want it to be in yellow. Sorry. Let me do that again. Amount greater than average. I want it to be so it has been able to capture this is the amount that I want. And I click OK. No, it has not captured what I want. I'm changing the numbers here and things are happening, right? So if I said the average amount I want to fix here is 500. So anything above 500 would be highlighted. What if I make it 400? Anything, above that amount can also be captured. Putting it at 500, changing it to green, then I have the color that I want. Next one I want to do here is supplier name by bottom three quantities. So it's the quantity amount now that we are dealing with. I also highlight this. I go to my conditional formatting, the top three bottom items. 3. I won't want the color to be red. I want it to be yellow. So it has been able to highlight the least 3 items for me. So the next one is to create a data bar to show top quantity incurred. To create a data bar to show top quantity incurred. So I go back to my quantity. This is data bar here. I want to make it solid fill. So what this actually does is it's captured from the highest to the least. The highest amount is all showing the all the colors. I mean, all the it colored all the cell, while the least one, which is 40 here, you can see the color of blue is the very least. Is the very least. If you want to clear the rules from this particular, you don't want it anymore, you can just click on clear rules. Clear rules from selected cells. It will do that for you. Do we see that? You don't want it anymore. You're done with it. You can just highlight it again. Clear from selected cells, and it would unselect it for you. Quickly, because we're actually running out of time, I want us to quickly move on to text. So most of the time, Excel basically captures numbers. However, we can have in our data sets things that are alphabetically, I mean, alphabets, words. So how do you help Excel to capture these particular things? Can we really work with num letters? Can we really work with it? For example, like I started earlier, we have 80 here in this particular cell, 80 here in this particular cell. If I want to plus both of them, I can do that easily. 80 plus this particular cell, I have my answer. But now I have letter and letter box. Is it possible to merge this letter box together? Because what I want actually is supposed to be like this letter box. Is it possible for Excel to merge this letter box together? Can I plus it together? Is it going to work? No, it will return a value to me, showing that this is not a number. You can't plus it together. So having done all of this, the first thing now we are going to do is we want to capture payment number. And our payment number is the combination of the document number and the payment number. It's the combination of the document number and the payment number. Can we actually do that? We combine this item that is here and this particular item that is here. Is it possible? Yes, it is very possible. There's a formula for it, and which is concatenate. Concatenate. So very easy. You will just click on your equals to, type in concatenate. Immediately you are typing in that, Excel already pops up and say, oh, is this the particular function you want to do? And it has already even given you a further explanation here. What does it mean? It means to join several text strings into one particular text string. So once I click on it, right, what do I want to join? Let me zoom in. Sorry, I just want to zoom in for you to see clearly. Equals to concatenate. I want to, this my data here. Then the next thing is I want to also add payment number. I close my bracket. I have it. Do we see it here now? But this is not actually what I really want to do. I want to add an hyphen. I want to add an hyphen. And to add an hyphen in Excel, Excel recognizes it as Excel recognizes it as a text. And for you to have a text here, you have to quote it. So I go immediately, let me cancel this again and do it again. Concatenate. I picked my particular item. So I want to make an hyphen. For me to have an hyphen, I have to quote it. Anything that is in text format has to be quoted. That way, Excel will be able to recognize that this is a text, and that text will now be included in your numbers. So I will just go, I'll quote it, I put my hyphen, I close my quotes, I add a comma, then I press my second, I close my bracket, and this is what I have. So this is the payment number. And for me, because I have a large data set, I don't have the time. I will just scroll down the formulas using this particular arrow. Let me zoom in. Make sure that it must be this black arrow, and I will double click and I'll be able to get the formulas all across the to the end. This is the end, 85 row. So I go back up. The next thing here is bank details. How do I come about this? My bank details is actually a combination of this, this, and this. The column H, the column I, and the column J. So I don't want to use the concatenate now. I want to use, there's something they call a concatenate operator. The concatenate operator. It is not a formula basically. It's just more like a shortcut that, but Excel recognizes it. So quickly, I want to use the concatenate operator to merge column H, column I, and column J together. So I go to my equals to, I click on this, right? My concatenate operator is this and sign. Do we see? I go again with this, then I press on the last one, which is this. I press in my enter and I have my bank details. If I also want to add an hyphen, I can also go ahead to do that. But when adding my hyphen, I need to ensure that I need to quote that hyphen. So let's start again. Equals to this. I add my and sign. I put in my quotes. Then I add my and sign again. I go to this particular one, my quotes, my and sign again. Then the last the last one. It has come up with a an error sign. I missed out the and sign, so I need to add that here. So we can see here that I have my bank details that has been correctly added together and using the concatenate operator. I can also do that same thing by dragging down my formula to the rest. I make sure that I have this my plus sign, but a very dark one. I double click and the formula spreads down across. So the next one we have is invoice months. The invoice month, we just want to capture just the invoice month. Either it is April, May, March, and how do we do that? From our data here, we have um, a particular column invoiced. They now put March/23. From here, I can actually pick out the particular month, but how do I pick it out? Excel has a method, and this will lead me to me explaining we have left, right, and mid. So for the left, meaning that I can select either letters or numbers from my left hand side of a cell. For example, this bank details. Now, if I want to select any number from the left, I will use the left formula. If I want to select from the right, I will use the right formula. So now, where is our month in this particular invoiced month? Our month is on the left hand side. So very simple. I'll just go to the particular cell I want, which is equals to, I'll type in my left. So it has told me that, oh, pick up the text you want. This is the text I want. Now, after that is now asking that, what are the number of characters? I just have 3 characters here, 3 letters, which is MAR. So I will just go ahead to type in 3, close my bracket, and I'll press enter. You can see it has been able to capture the month, and I'll drag down to the rest, and it has been able to pick it out for me. Now we have the PO number. So for the PO number is just basically the customer PO, but we want to pick only the number. We want to pick only the number, and thankfully, the number is on your right. So we're going to be using the right function this time around. We're going to be using the right function. Before then, make sure that you count the number that you are going to pick out, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I go equals to my right. Where is the particular text? This is it. I type in my comma, then I type the number of characters that I want to pick up from there, which is 6. I close my brackets and I have my PO number. I I can now drag down. We have that. The next one is the location. We also have that. The location is, now you can see from the location, it is in the middle. It is not on the left, neither is it on the right. So I will click on equals to. This particular function we're going to be using now is mid, because the item that we are trying to pick out from that cell is in the middle. So I type in my mid. The mid is going to bring out something. We have the text. This is the text. Then it's further asking me that where are we starting from, because it's in the middle. Where are we starting from? Because of this particular thing is Sydney, right? So I'm going to count the first one, which is P1, the second one O2, then there's an hyphen. It also captures it too as a letter, as a character, as a string. So it's 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 before we have the S, which is Sydney. So it's now asking me, where are we starting from? The start number is the fourth number, the fourth character, which is 4. Then how many number of characters in general are we doing here? How many number of characters in general? Let's go back. So we have Sydney, we're going to count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6, which is, and I'll close my brackets. Then I have Sydney. That's helping me to capture Sydney. But this particular formula has a clause, because the next one, if I want to capture the formula downward, we can see here that it did not choose for Melbourne. It still just captured 6 letters in Melbourne. So the formula is not comprehensive enough, and therefore we have to come up with something else. So what do? If we say we want to increase the number, because Melbourne has how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Melbourne has 9 letters. If we want to increase it to 9, right? You can see here that for Sydney, there's an additional 22, but Melbourne is complete. This does not help our formula well. So we have to look for a solution. Now, what do? We have to, looking at this particular data set, we see here that there is a particular pattern before the location. There is an hyphen, and after the location there is also an hyphen. That way it can be able to help us to properly capture this location, or these letters, or this string that we're trying to talk about here. So the first thing I will say is, can we find that hyphen? Let's find that hyphen. Where is it? So we're going to use the find function, equals to find. So what are we finding? We are finding the text, an hyphen. So we're finding an hyphen. Let me check. Is this okay? Yeah. Within what text? Within this particular one. Then where should we start from? I close. It has given me 10. So what they are saying is, what this particular 10 is saying here is, they want me to so what we basically want to do here is, we want to capture only Sydney, and we see that there are 2 hyphens here, hyphen at the beginning of the location and hyphen at the end of the location. So I want Excel to help me know the number of the location of the second hyphen, because it is that second hyphen that will finding the location will be able to help me capture the number of letters for the whole, for the name of the location. Either it is the Sydney or Melbourne. Sydney is for 6 letters, Melbourne is for 9 letters. So now it has been able to capture the location for the second hyphen. Now what I just need to do is I just need to capture this particular um, formula now, and insert it um, in the what's it called, in this particular formula that has been generated before. So very simple. I will just highlight it and now insert it. So instead of having 6, right, I will have a find. Then after this, I will type in -4. This -4 just indicates that the 4 letters at the beginning. So let me just wrap it up for you to clearly see what I'm talking about. It has been able to capture just Sydney alone and Melbourne. You can see here, it has captured the Melbourne letters for me. If I don't want to use a find, I can also use length. There's another one called length. Length just it will help to return the number of no, the returns the number of characters in a string string too. So the length of this something is 16, right? But I only want it to capture um just before this before the hyphen at the beginning and after the hyphen at the end. Before the after the hyphen at the beginning and before the hyphen at the end. So because of that, I need to take away 10 from it. Having done this, if I add this my length to my data set, it will still give me the same thing. Instead of find, I will take away find and I add my length, close my brackets. I have my Sydney. I click on double down, then I have the same thing. Another thing now I want us to do is for us to clean or trim. There's something that is also here on column E. You can see column E here. We have some things that just pops up. The data is just so bad. So when you have a large data set and you need to clean or trim your data, very easy. I can clean this up with the formula clean. So if I place on clean equals to clean, see what it has been able to do. Then I have been able to clean this data set. With this particular one, I can also trim. So what does trim do? Trim removes spaces. Trim removes spaces. You can see here that in this particular cell, there is an unusual space at the beginning. So what does clean? Does clean remove any spacing between, space at the beginning, and makes your data clean. So after cleaning this, I can, let me just add a trim to it. Trim formula. I click on the cell. I close my data. Okay. Yes. So this, now, it was that number 9 that there was space at the beginning. I have cleaned it up. There is no more space now here. What of if we can see there's some in capital letter, some in small letter? It doesn't make our data presentable. I want to make it um more presentable. So I can either do it in become make this in capital letter, in small letter, or having sentence case. When I mean sentence case is the beginning of the letter is a capital letter. I can do that with upper, lower, and proper. So upper is making everything in capital letter. I don't need to cancel this. I just need to go again and type in upper. This is the text. It has picked the text which is on it, which is in E2. I make sure that I close my bracket again. So it won't show here because initially this data was in caps lock. But if I make it and drag it down, you can see that every other data has comes into caps lock. The same thing goes for if I want to make it lowercase, lower, everything goes back to lower, lowercase. If I want to do that in also in proper, making the first letter a capital letter. Do we see that? So that also happens. So the next thing now is I want to get the amount. I want to get the amount. Looking at this particular data set, there are so many ways I can do it, right? This particular thing, this particular amount, we can see here there is an S instead of, I'm sure that they were trying to make it a dollar sign, but it came out as an S, which is improper. So for you to convert this now to a real amount, I can do it in some ways. I can click on substitute. So this, right? What was the old is now asking me for the old text. The old text that was there was an S. But what was the new text that I want to capture now? I can either do, okay, let me have a dollar sign. I want a dollar sign. I can close up my, do we see that here now? This has been changed to a dollar sign. I can drag down and I have a dollar sign. What if I don't want there should be a dollar sign here? I'll just make this my um There should not be anything in the new text that I want to do. Then you can see here that I just have my number. I drag down, I have my um amount, or okay, sorry for that. Um I'll just quickly talk about the dates. So what if I have a I want to capture the dates in dates let me dates paid, dates paid. So This one now, although it's showing April 17, it is not captured as a date. It is not captured as a date. So I want to make it in form of date. Very simple. I'll just click on equals to text. The particular date, right, is this. Then what's the format I want it to come out in form of? What's the format I want it to come out in form of? Before then, let me give a little brief background information. When we have the format we can have is, for example, your month, it can be in this way, 2M, it can be in this 3M, or like this, 4M. So for this one, it's going to bring out um in number here. For example, if it is February, to be 02. For this one now, for February, it will be February. That's for three letters. But for this one, it will bring out the month in full. It will bring out the month in full. So that's what I just wanted to explain briefly. So now that I have this date paid now, text, the format I want it to bring out for me is just the way we have it here. Then you can see here that it has been able to capture it. If I change it to 2M, it will see that it will be 04. This is actually in a date format, and it will go across everything. So everything here is just saying that. So what if I change it, right? It was paid in April. Let me change it to the next let me adjust this. I have my text. The invoice dates. So if I drag down now, you can see that it's giving me different formats. What if I add now the 4M? See, it has been able to give me month, the whole month length. If I reduce it, it will give me a short format, a shorter version of it. So this is just what I want to capture for that. So quickly, before we um wrap up, we have some other things that I wanted to talk about, but let me just talk about pivot table. Pivot table is actually something that people use on a regular basis also, and you know is also a useful tool in the when you're presenting a data or you're making reporting. So remember that this my data is already converted to a table. This my data is already converted to a table. So I can just also go to design straight. From design, it can take me straight up to a pivot table from the function of summarize with pivot table. Summarize with pivot table. But if I've not converted this particular data to a table. For example, now I convert it back to range, right? This is no longer a table, but I want to make this a pivot table. I want to have a pivot table from this. I'll I'll highlight my data. I'll go to insert. Then you can see here I have pivot table, and there are recommended ones also for me. If I want, I can pick from any of them, but I don't want to pick from any recommended one. I click on pivot table. There's something that a dialog box that comes up telling me that, do I want to choose from a new worksheet or an existing worksheet? Do I want to choose from a new worksheet or an existing worksheet? Do I want the pivot table to be reported in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet? Automatically, because Excel has understood that you need to do some workings in a new worksheet, so it has automatically picked a new worksheet for me. So I can just click OK. It automatically creates a new worksheet. Look at it here, sheet 1. So on this my sheet 1, I can see that there's already something here, right? There's also pivot table fields already displaying. If I go outside this, you can see that not the pivot table fields will not show. So sometimes some of us, anytime we're working on pivot table, we go outside the more like a table that's been created, and we are looking for our data, or we are looking for what to do. You go back here, and immediately your pivot table pops up. Do we understand? So with this, we'll just do very quick, very quick walk. And one of the things I'll just be doing is, let me zoom in so that we can get what I'm saying. Okay, I thought I can enlarge this. So now, from this my data, it's actually a set of cars. We have the make, Honda, we have the model, we have the color of the cars, we have the mileage that you use, we have the price, we have the cost. Okay, now, so if I want to just show the make of the car, I would go to the make. And so we have on this pivot table fields, we have drag fields between areas below. So it's either filter, row, column values. So I'll click on what I want to show. I'll click on it and I'll drag to the column part. Once I drag, something pops up. The list of my make of cars shows. The list of my make of cars shows. From also this, I can also get my model also. So for my model, I will just drag again. Underneath it, each for the make, each of the model will pop up, right? So for this model, automatically there's always like a you can have like a drop down here. So for this my pivot table, remember to work more on it, you can see on this home tab here, there's a place called analyze, and it is specifically for the pivot table. So click on analyze, you can see so many things here. So many things. You also have the design for this pivot table, but we're going to be working basically with the analyze um, icon or analyze and tab. So for this particular one now, you can see here that it is showing for Chevrolet, is showing each of the model. For Dodge, is showing the model. For Ford, is showing the model of the cars. If I can expand this or reduce it. Now it is already expanded for me, but I can be doing that individually. I don't want to be seeing, but I can also do that from this um tab here on your Excel. You will surely see it. Is either it is showing expand or this plus and minus, expand or collapse, or this plus and minus. So if I click on plus, it has expanded it for me. If I click on minus, it has collapsed it for me. Do we see that? The next thing here, I want to expand it and also show the colors of this particular kind of cars. So I go to my colors and I want the colors to be on the column part. So I drag my color and I have my color here. Now I also want it to be counted for me. Okay, I want it to be counted for me. So I can just go to my make and just take it to the values. Take it to the values. So it has, what it's doing here now is counting it for me. Okay, it's counting it for me. Meaning that for this particular car, the color is silver. We have for silver, we have for, that's just it. It's giving us a full package. If I collapse this now, right, you can see that it has given us a summary of everything. There are also some of things we can do. I want to um I don't want it to show count for me again, right? I want it to show the price. The price. So what I will just do is I'll go to my values, I'll take it out. Okay. I can also take out the color. When you take it out like this, when you drag and take it out, it automatically removes. But now I want it to show the price for me. So I come here, it has been able to sum up all the cars. These are their prices. If I also want to add the cost for each of them, I can also do that too. It has been able to add the cost for me. Now, this is me. I'm in a car business. This is the price of the car. This is the cost I used to make the car. I want to get the profits. Okay? I want to get the profit for this particular vehicle. Now, profit was not given, but I want to add it. Very simple. Very simple. I will just go to my analyze, right? Go to my field items and sets. Field items and sets. I click on it and I want to add because it is an added item I want to add, which is the price minus the cost that will give me a profit. So I'll click on the calculated field there and it's not telling me to insert. This is the dialog box that is bringing out. What is the name of the column or the item I want to add? I want to add profit margin. So I click on I'll type in it. I'll type it in profit margin. After that, what's the formula of that profit margin? So it is the price minus the cost. On this formula tab, I will just click price, insert field, minus cost, insert it, and I would click OK. We can see here that it has automatically added the profit margin for me. And not only that, on my list here, initially profit margin was not added, but because of what I've done, profit margin has been added. So these are just the few things that you can, get to do. Also, I can get the average, not only just the sum, and we can get that from here. Value field setting. Instead of sum, I can get an average. Do you see here now? Average price. I can go back to having my sum and I click on OK. You don't even need to go, sometimes you don't need to go here. You can also, just by right, your left click, you can show values or summarize values. Show values as a percentage of the grand total, which is this. What it has done is it has calculated the grand total, and it has, each of the car has been broken down into different percentage. So for example, for Ford now, the cost of Ford is 22% of the total amount. So there are just so many things you can work around using this pivot table. There's just so many things. So one of the few things now is I want to I want to work on pivot chart. So due to that, I want to remove this, and now I want to go to pivot chart. So on this analyze, you will see pivot chart here. Pivot chart. When you click on pivot chart, the insert chart pops up. Okay, I want to use a column. I click on it, and you can see here that it has, you know, broken it down, explain it down for me. Now you see here that it is only the make that is showing. If you want to expand it, you can see immediately you expanded it, this, your data here has also expanded. Your chart has also expanded. If you want to maybe change this from, instead of um profit, you want it to be showing the color, right? I want profit out of the way. I don't want profit anymore. So see here, it's showing the count. I want to collapse this. You can see what is bringing out here for you. So, and it will even indicate the count of color. So this is just a few things you can work around Excel. Another thing again is there's something here called defer layout updates. Defer layout updates, meaning that any updates that I do on this thing, if I don't want it to reflect, I can just click on this. And why you do that, because probably you're having a large data and you don't just want any kind of updates, or maybe somebody's working on a sheet, you don't just want any kind of update. You can click on this defer layout update, and when you want it to update, you have to press this update button. You have to press this update button. So let's try it now. I want to remove the model. If I remove the model now, you can see here it has not, or let me undo. Let me say that I want to put the model back, right? If I want to remove the make, I remove the make. You can see here that I've removed the make, but it has not reflected here because I have this defer layout update ticked. By the time I update it, you can see here that it has been able to now reflect. So this just helps check on whatever update you're going to be doing, especially when you have a large data set. So another huge thing that I wanted to touch also was data validation, but however, our time has, we have run out of time. And I would just want to end. Or let me just see if I can quickly rush this data validation. All right, so let me just quickly rush this. It is quite easy. This is quite easy. Using data validation, it will actually help you to ensure that your data is correct, setting up standard for your projects. So you have your data here, and you have the invoice month and the supplier name. So we want to be adding invoice month to this particular data. And what do we need to do? What do we need to do? You would this is not a table, this is a range. So I need to highlight where I want to capture what I want to capture. So I will have to highlight this. If I do this, it takes me downwards. So I will have to do it manually because everything is not in the table. So the table, it would have been so easy. Okay. So I'll just highlight it manually. Okay. And I go to data validation. Data validation is on data tab. We have data validation here. So I click on data validation, the drop down here, and data validation. So a dialog box comes up. A dialog box comes up that shows me setting, input message, and error. Setting, input image, message, and error alert. So for this particular setting, you're saying, oh, is it any value you want? Is it whole number? Is it decimal? Is it list? Is it date? Is it time? Is it text length or custom? What we actually do, because we want to make sure that only the month, the invoice month is well captured. So we have from February to June. That is a list. Okay, so it is list we're going to be using at this particular time. If you want to do probably a list, but your source, you want to, you know, you can be typing, for example, if it's names of people, I'll click in only Ayo, I'll press a comma, only Gina, I'll press a comma, only Faith. So the difficult thing is in this is, what if I have a list of 100 names? I'll keep typing and typing. This would really take a lot of time. So I will just click on source here. It will help me to now capture the particular cell where I have those names um already. So I just highlight the month I'm referring to. After highlighting it, I go back and I immediately I've pressed OK. On the invoice month, you will begin to see some things. There's already a drop down here indicating the number of months here. So if I type in February, February will come up. If I type in anything apart from the list that has been stated out, there's something that will happen. For example, let me type in September now. Immediately an error message pops up indicating that this value does not match the data validation restriction defined for this cell. I would probably cancel. And so there are other options here, right? There are other on that data validation, we have input message. What if I want to input a message? And the message can be that, okay, invoice month, you can only insert the month period from February to June. Once I click OK, you will now begin to see that there's a comment telling whosoever that is going to be having access to the data that, oh, it is only invoice month so that you can put here, and it is from period of February to June. Anything outside that, do not add it. Do you understand? That's what that thing is for. Another thing again is the last one is data validation error alerts. So immediately you put in a wrong thing, something pops up, and Excel has automatically set it that what we show here will be a stop it. Do not add any month that has not been clearly stated. That's the error alert showing. But you can change it to a warning sign and even add up a message. You can add up a message that do not insert any other months apart from the month clearly stated, or apart from February to June. And once you click on OK, it would adjust. And once I now click on September now, do you see a warning sign comes up? Do not insert any other month apart from February to June. I can now go with yes. Do you see what happens here? That warning sign does not stop me, but rather just give me a warning that why do you really want to add September? Then if I say yes, I want to add September, it will go ahead and add it up for me. But September was not clearly stated among the months that was. So these are just the few things that talking about data validation. If you want to clear this, it's also very easy. You just highlight the number of cells and click on clear validation circles, and it will clear that for you. No, wait, okay. Okay, I'll go to my clear all, and clear all. All right, it has cancelled for me. So with this, I would want to end the tutorial here, and I'll hand over the mic to my co-host here. Over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria, for your time. Thank you for those wonderful training. I want to believe as many of us that has joined this program, it has been very, very impactful and knowledge sharing. And because of our time, we'll not be able to take questions. We've really spent much time on this, and I want to believe that if we go through the videos, if you have any question, you can always drop them on the WhatsApp group chat, and I'm very sure we are going to put answers to those questions. So we won't be able to take questions on this call. We would like to end it here so that we can also have time for other engagement. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your time. Thank you for impacting your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your skills on Excel to us. We really appreciate it, and God bless you so much. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Let's have a fruitful week ahead. Bye for now.